Good morning. It is apparently 35 degrees Fahrenheit, which is not too cold. So I'm wearing my long sleeve outfit that comes with a coat that is not my full body coat, so I can wear it and it won't be freezing. I always get compliments on this, and I feel kind of weird because this does not show off my tattoos, and I kind of like showing off my tattoos, but this is really comfortable. Ironically, it's the thinnest workout thing I have, so I only wear it if it's not absolutely freezing, below 30 degrees, but everyone always asks. This is from Wolford. I got this as a gift from someone, and I wear it literally once a week. So I'm off to work out. I'm going to the gym, and then I will head back, and hopefully it is not ridiculously rainy today because I don't really mind it, but it's been a really fucking rainy week, and today it looks much sunnier out. This is layer 1. Because we can't just have one fucking jacket on in New York. And this is layer 2 because this is not actually a matching jacket to this innately, but it looks like a matching jacket. This is a matching jacket to Fabletics, and this looks a little bit ridiculous, but we don't really care. The candle that we're doing today is Carnival Apple. This is a little bit of a scent risk. I feel like Carnival Apple, let me try this, let's see. This is me after doing my laundry and fucking realizing that I only have enough on my card for washes and I don't have enough for dries, and I'll go to a fucking ATM, I guess, on my walk this afternoon or before my clan. I don't even know. It's gonna be a long day if I cannot dry my clothing. But yeah, let's try this Carnival Apple scent. Okay, that's cute. There's vanilla in here. It's not like a stringent apple. Oh shit. Okay, I can't really light this on camera. Beautiful. Happy Saturday. Mars retrograde in the 6th house. Really fucking getting to me. Just nothing to do with me actually, but if you know astrology, I guess you can surmise that oh my god, I hate conflict, but we're doing okay. Just moments in here. The past days have just been hard. Moments in here. It's all right though. Readings are done. Edited my favorites video that would have come out yesterday, and we're alive. While I am sorting through my laundry here, which I need to go through and decide what I'm taking to LA, what I'm keeping here, which suitcase I'm putting it in, let's talk about transits of the outer planets, which are Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, because I've talked a little bit about them individually, but I got a comment for a video on outer planets, and I'm not sure if I've done a video on what the outer planets literally mean. Of course, just my underwear is the first thing I take out. This is not important. If you want a full video on the outer planets and their history of how they were discovered and how they got their significations, you can feel free to let me know, because I don't think I've done that, because my planets video that I have is my basic planetary significations video. It's a killer video, by the way. If you're new to this and you want a killer video on what the planets represent, I have that linked down below, I think, but also in my astrology playlist. I think that briefly glosses over Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, but does not firmly describe what they represent. So the outer planets describe collective energies rather than personal behaviors in the chart. And if they're in an aspect to your personal planets, they can color that personal behavior, but having your Uranus in a specific sign is not going to represent your behavior in such a way like your Venus or your Mercury would. In fact, it's going to more so just kind of linger there and show that the area of life is acting in a more erratic, volatile way, rather than showing your personal behavior being volatile or erratic, unless it's in an aspect to your personal planets or your ascendant, in which case you are living out the collective energy of that. So the outer planets can be thought of as collective energies that showcase themselves in particular areas of our chart, and we may be an exhibitor of that behavior, or we may not. For example, I have basically all the outer planets in some sort of a configuration in my chart, frankly, to my behavior. I have, except for, or kind of, so I have Neptune on my ascendant. Neptune, I'll go through the outer planets mean firstly, and then discuss what they are doing basically when they're transiting your chart. So Uranus is chaos, volatility, disruption, genius, electric, innovation energy. It is very liberating. It definitely corresponds with the myth of Prometheus the Liberator. It can also be very disruptive. So all of the outer planets are in and of themselves a neutral energy that because it is so distinct, leans challenging, because anytime we have a very distinct energy coming our way, there are challenges. I would venture to say that Uranus generally is leaning challenging just in and of itself because of the disruptive quality, unless it's in a trine or in a trine, sextile, sometimes conjunction aspect. So Uranus itself is the disruptor, the liberator. It is a very blast off, ground, earth shattering energy. So if you have a transit, which means that Uranus in the sky is going over your chart in a particular angle, if you have a Uranus transit right now, it is usually going to instigate a sense of suddenly disrupting, suddenly shifting, or adding a genius quality to the innovation in that area of your chart. For example, particularly over the past 2 years, I have had Uranus in Taurus crossing my Saturn and my IC. Saturn in the chart represents boundaries and structure, and the IC is the lowest part of the chart. It represents home, family, early life, the foundations of your life. Having Uranus, the most disruptive planet possible, crossing not only my IC but my Saturn, which I have Saturn on the IC, which definitely shows how, like, above all else, I literally just want safety, security, and like I'm really not. All I fucking want is to be like, just like stability, and shows that early life was just very cold for me. I was not touched by my mother very much. Having Uranus cross that has been like everything that you want stability with. No, just disruption of my stability, disruption of my foundations, and disruption of my home life. If you've seen over the past year and a half, my travel has been insane. It's both been of my own volition, of like, that's somewhere I've always wanted to visit. I want to go to Poland. I want to visit where my ancestors are from. I want to go to the Maldives for a weekend with a friend because I want to go to the Maldives. And also because of like crypto and work. Like, I'll go to Davos. I'll go to the fucking World Economic Forum and have people call me a member of the WEF, when in reality I literally just attending like any other fucking wannabe VC basically. But that amount of disruption around my like not property, but location, because IC can be where you're grounded, that was hugely disruptive. And I felt like suddenly, even though I am a homebody and I don't innately like travel, I like traveling to places that make me feel like home. I don't like traveling for the sake of an adventure. I'm not adventurous. Please just leave me alone and please just let me be safe. Like, I don't want adventure. That felt like a huge disruption in terms of like, go suddenly live your life, go suddenly disrupt your safety. And so it's felt like the foundations of my life have been turned on their head regarding where I live. Like, for a few months, I literally was like, life, just show me where I need to be. And that led to me largely just going back to Houston with my dad for a couple weeks and being like, well, I don't know what to do. Now I'm in New York, but I literally have to go to LA so often that I'm like, I don't know if I should have signed this lease. I had such a feeling about it of like, sign it, but there might be complications because of travel. And it's not like I've traveled vacation-wise at all since then. I don't do vacations really, but I've just had to go to LA a ton for like opportunities and events. And at this point, it's like, Jesus Christ, I just need to sub, but no one's gonna pay my rent. Nobody's gonna pay. No one fucking sublets unless it's literally like $1,000, at least from what I've seen. And no one that I know who could afford this would be subletting. But anyway, Uranus crossing my IC has shown a ton of disruptions, liberations, and breakthroughs around holding on to security and foundations in my life, particularly around my living situation. And I have Saturn and my IC and the transit of Uranus happening in my 5th house. And the 5th house is creativity and also dating. I have not had anything really sudden around dating because in my chart, it's not really indicated that I have very many, if any, romantic relationships. Maybe one day we'll see. I've had like bullshit, like for like a week-long boyfriend. We've addressed this. I've had 3 boyfriends for about 1 to 2 weeks, and then they went to friends because maturity issues. This was in my younger years, essentially. I'm now 24. But with Uranus in my 5th house, it has been suddenly needing to be more sudden in my content. I still plan ahead on my daily horoscopes and monthly forecasts and shit that you have to plan. But like, I have so much more fun just sitting down in front of a camera and being authentic. And the planned shit doesn't really work for me for views or engagement. No one gives a shit about, I'm gonna be honest, like 0.5% of people give a shit about their monthly horoscope or their daily horoscope. People just wanna sit and hear something authentic and hear something that is in the moment, touching their situation. They do not care to think about like, oh, the month ahead. Bitch, I don't even know what I'm gonna like eat tomorrow. Like, let alone, I don't know what's going on in my chart necessarily month to month. I can't think that far ahead. So I can see now that my intense disruption happening creatively is translating into my content, becoming much more authentically chaotic. Like I feel like the way that I film and interpret information very much is camera down, flip up with flash. That's not me trying to grab your attention. I will grab your attention I don't need to even think about that. That just is me. My life is absurd. Uranus is also squaring my Venus and Mercury in my Leo 8th house. So Uranus squaring Venus and Mercury does feel like a sudden change in my communication. I've had to be more direct. I've had to be more authoritative, which is challenging for me in some ways because my Libra moon hates conflict. But this Mars retrograde in my 6th house has been killing me in some ways. Because like, I just hate conflict, and I hate having to interject in conflict. Like, I just want everyone to be safe and sound and like stop the conflict, and yeah, horrific. Like, I don't think there's anything that makes me want to die in a hole more than conflict. If it's me, if it's people around me, just like, please make it stop. I don't, no. Like, there's nothing that I hate more than that. It makes me more uncomfortable. So basically, if you ever want me to shut down, just be mad at me for no reason. And the amount of like literal physical issues that will result is just insane. Whatever. So Uranus squaring these has suddenly made my communication, Venus, Mercury, and the way I, move forward with that have to be much more urgent, direct, chaotic even in some ways. And has led me to, with Mercury, Venus being like, you could say beautiful ways of communicating. It is suddenly, it's exact right now. Uranus is at 16 degrees, my Venus is at 16 degrees. It is suddenly kind of, or is it Mercury, or is it Venus or Mercury? One of them is at 14, one of them is at 16 degrees. Let's see, I think it's Mercury is at 16 degrees, so it's squaring my Mercury. So definitely it has been enacting a sudden change of communication to be more liberated. Pluto tends to be more deeply authentic. Uranus is more liberation, suddenness, and genius. This spring in May, there's going to be a lot going on in Taurus with the North Node entering Taurus, with Jupiter entering Taurus. There's going to be like the North Node is already in Taurus. I meant Jupiter entering Taurus. Basically, this May, there's going to be a ton alongside Uranus and Taurus that shows sudden disruption. So if you already know the Taurus house in your chart, that's going to get a mega positive but disruptive push forward starting in May. I hope to have some really cool creative stuff out by then. That looks really promising because I'm like working hard as fuck. Anyway, like I said, transits of Uranus to your personal planets will describe disruption, liberation, upheaval in a very sudden electric way. It's more mental than it is emotional. And if you need a refresher on planets, signs, or houses, please check out my introduction videos so you can break that down in your respective chart, or watch your monthly, yearly forecast, whatever, for that in your house in your chart. It might describe it. Then we get on to Neptune, and Neptune is a dreamy, glamorous, spiritual energy. It is things like makeup and filters and the beautification, and it's also delusion and can be nightmares. It is the epitome of stories, of things that are fairy tale, of illusion. Neptune is a very, very, when you say Neptunian, you already know what it means generally. It's this beautiful, otherworldly energy. And I have Neptune on my ascendant, actually, which is kind of explaining how even if I look really bad, people are like, oh my God, so beautiful. I'm like, no bitch, like I objectively look bad right now. I'm pretty, but I look bad right now. It's this projection energy of seeing what you want to see of rose-colored glasses, and also means that, like, to be honest, I can be manipulated to filth. Like, I feel perpetually naive, and I don't have as clear of a radar on other people as other people do. I feel like I don't pick up. Like, someone could be just completely bullshitting me, and I'm always like, I don't know. Unless someone is like with lying and whatever, I need Scorpio friends for people to tell me I'll believe anything. I'll be manipulated to the fucking filth, because Neptune is a very glossy energy. It's not a very stable energy. It can be very, very, very permeated. Neptune, I don't associate it with water or with air or anything specific like that. I associate it with like ether, you could say, just nothingness. I mean, even though Neptune associates with water, I mean, it's water droplets. It's beautiful. It's otherworldly beauty. It's not of this world. It can also be highly spiritual or transcendent. So Neptune transits tend to involve unlocking transcendence, spiritual states, higher consciousness, and can also be nightmarish with illusion, delusion, and lack of clarity. The most challenging thing about Neptune transits is that they can lead to lack of clarity, fatigue, and not knowing the next step around what you're going to do in that area of your life. So Neptune, I would say, leans, like, it can be challenging, but it can be a little less challenging overtly than Uranus or Pluto, because it can be beautiful even in the difficulty. So I don't lean towards Neptune being positive. I think it's still neutral. But with Neptune transits, depending on the transit, if it's a trine or a sextile, it tends to be more positive. It can unlock spiritual states, higher realizations, a feeling of oneness, a feeling of creative solidarity or going within. It tends to be a very solitary transit because you're going within. It can often involve either psychedelics or just feeling like you had a spiritual breakthrough. And it can also be an energy of being delusional, seeing what you want to see, and not being in touch with reality around that topic. So over the past few months, I've had Neptune pretty exactly on my Jupiter in the 3rd house. And Jupiter in my 3rd house innately shows that I have a voracious capacity to write, create content, and put out things nonstop in short format. Jupiter in my 3rd house is in its own sign. It is the most positive planet in my chart, and it shows that like what I love doing is writing things in short form. And Neptune crossing that has led to a beautiful emergence of content. It's led to a lot of like dreams coming true in terms of what I'm creating content-wise. And also has led to lack of clarity around what I want to do with content. I find it really difficult to pin down like, oh, I do want to do a podcast, yay, oh my god, shit, I have to think of guests, I have to contact them, I'm overwhelmed, oh no, shut down. It has led to feelings of not being able to see the reality of if I'm like succeeding or losing at social media. Like, I literally don't know. It's hard for me because in some ways I'm losing metrics on some figures and then gaining on some metrics on other figures, which I guess is normal. Like, some of your content does poorly and some does better on a more exponential scale. So that's been a little weird. So I feel like I have blinders on when it comes to evaluating my success with my content or with what I'm producing writing-wise. But in a really beautiful way, it's led to writing in ways that are like just straight from my soul, and that hopefully I'll get to share in more serious ways coming up soon. So it's neutral and it leans spiritual, it leans esoteric. It can involve psychedelics or drugs for some people, not all people. Like this for me, I mean, I've tried psychedelics, but very small amounts, and I freak out and have really poor experiences, and literally makes me like, it's so bad. So, but I mean, with me, I think you can kind of tell, like, maybe I'm not, but I may be doing, I'm just not going to go there, but like, something might be calling me that other people do in some ways, and it feels like a right opportunity. So we're just going to say that. I think this will actually be happening right, like, I don't know if Jupiter, no, I have 25-degree Jupiter, so Neptune will already be a little bit off of it, but Neptune unlocks spiritual states. If it is in a trine or a sextile, it's generally more positive. If it's a sextile, I dare you to even notice it. You're not going to fucking notice a sextile. Like, I'm sorry. You're just going to be background opportunity energy. But with Neptune squaring, opposing, or conjunct something, it can be a little more overwhelming. It can be delusional. It can be addiction issues. Or it can be addiction through numbing out. It's not addiction in a compulsive way. It's addiction in a, I cannot feel, I do not want to feel, I want to be in a dream. So it's dreamy, delusional, nightmarish energy, and it can, when it's also, I forgot to mention this, if it's involved in your physical body, so if it's crossing your ascendant, or if it is crossing like your sun or the ruler of your ascendant, it can show plastic surgery, it can show cosmetic surgery, definitely can show beautification. I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. Neptune can be delusional, so I might get a second opinion or two, but I wouldn't say it's a bad thing at all if you're doing beautification during Neptune transits. And next we have Pluto. So lastly, we have Pluto, and I have a full video on Pluto crossing the ascendant, so I will link that down below because I think that that's the best descriptor of that specific transit. Pluto crossing the ascendant is very, very intense, and it's the most intense transit I've ever experienced, but it's also my favorite. So Pluto is the planet of, and I'm going to say a lot of cliches because cliches are usually right. So I am done with being like, oh, I'm going to think of unique ways to, no, bitch. I'm going to be basic as fuck and use what actually applies, even if it's, like, cliches are great, usually. Generalization's phenomenal, a heuristic for my mind to use. The most popular songs are popular for a reason. I love being basic. We are done. We are just like other girls. Anyway, Pluto is a planet of transformation, of intensity, of death and rebirth, of bringing the very small to the very big, of huge atomic scale. It is the planet of the underworld, and it tends to bring up behaviors, topics, and things that we've repressed within ourselves. So if Pluto is in a major transit to your natal chart, it's going to demand authenticity and usually have a painful resurrection of an inner you that may have been repressed or silenced. And for some people, this can be more about the external world, of a transformation of your family or your spouse, or having deaths, or having just major situations fall through that require you to step up into a situation that all along was more authentic perhaps. But if it's in relation more to your physical body or your personality, like it was for me when it crossed my ascendant, it was this sudden, it wasn't sudden actually, Pluto creeps up on you, it's not sudden, it's a background energy, because Pluto moves so fucking slow it's not going to be sudden, but it's a background energy that demands authenticity. So when it was crossing my ascendant, it was very much this slow, steady, oh my god, I am so emo, I am so like dark, I actually, there's a good line in, I don't know if you know the band Dayseeker, I just saw them live, they're phenomenal. They have a line in Crooked Soul, and the line goes, I see the devil in myself, and it's like over and over it says it. And the whole song, like Crooked Soul, just resonates so much with that transit because it feels like you realize, like, I see the devil in myself kind of vibe, where you're coming into terms with your shadow or things that you've repressed literally. And for me, that was, I loved, you can call it screamo. I don't say that in a derogatory word because I fucking listen to it. But I listen to screamo, emo, pop punk, metalcore music. I mean 13 onward. And finally, when Pluto was firmly crossing my ascendant 17-ish, 18-ish, I was like, I love this music. I used to play it around friends and pretend that I was playing it as a joke. No, this literally the music I listen to this day. It was not a stage. It's what I love to listen to. So it was stepping into authenticity to a degree that will feel scary. And depending on if it's positive, like a trine, or a conjunction's neutral to challenging, but like it's more positive than a square or a opposition. If it's more challenging, it can invoke a demand from the universe to change more authentically. If it is a little bit more constructive, it can be you willingly transforming something. It's a lot of psychological heavy lifting. Usually going to the underworld of something that you have buried for a long time. That's the number one thing. It's something you buried for a long time that you're like now having to be authentic around. It will like resurrect this authenticity. It will just, okay, there's the shirt to this. I always get worried, like how the fuck, what do I don't know if people just go into laundry and take random shit or what, because I don't know how I end up with one sock. I swear to fucking God I had every sock, whatever. So Pluto will be a slow, steady churn into authenticity rather than something that is, I just realized I'm very sad because I missed the Westville delivery order cutoff. So I'm like really sad because I was filming this video. And yesterday I ordered from Westville, and for whatever fucking reason, there was no dasher to pick up my order for like an hour, which meant that the store closed, and like the dasher got to the store at literally 11 p.m. I'd already eaten by then, I don't care. And then it like canceled. They were like, we canceled your order. And like I knew, like what? Why wasn't there? I tip so well. I know how DoorDash works. I tip so well. I tip at least $10 usually on an order because I want someone to choose my order quickly so that it can be like, you know what I mean, get going. But anyway, this was saddening yesterday. I hope that this helps you with your outer planet transit delineations. I need to decide what suitcases I'm putting these clothes in and order food. So I will see you in the next one.